Good evening and greetings, everyone. My name is Helena Bach Hughes, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Meditation Mount. Michael Winfield, who usually accompanies Diana Wang in these monthly full moon presentations, is away in Italy for a few months and asked if I would step in, which I gladly said yes. So here we are in the solar month of Aries, entering what is the first of three hierarchical festivals: the Aries or Easter festival that is associated in the West with the Christ and the office of the Christ. May, the Taurus or Wesak full moon, that in the East is associated with the Buddha. And Gemini in June, the festival of humanity. In the tradition of the Trans-Himalayan Ageless Wisdom teachings upon which Meditation Mount was founded, we utilize the teachings put forth by the Masters of the Wisdom. And the most learned of all the masters is the Tibetan master D.K. Chwal who said, "The New World religion, or New World spirituality in the Aquarian age that we've been rapidly entering into for several decades now, will be based upon and will emphasize the three major full moon periods just mentioned and the 9 minor full moons each year. These 9 full moon periods are intended to work out what was given and received in the major 3 festivals." Master D.K. further wrote that this will lead to a consequent relationship, establishing the work of the Christ and the Buddha in the minds of spiritually inclined people everywhere, and will result in a, quote, great broadening of human aspiration. So here we see how East meets West and West meets East. The teachings of the Buddha, unfolding the Buddha nature, merges with the teachings of the West, evolving and unfolding the Christ nature, taking it a step further to evolve humanity as a whole, as one of the 3 divine centers in the body of God. The other 2 being Shambhala, where the will of God is known, and the spiritual hierarchy where the love of God is known. Now, I'd like to say some words about the Aries Festival, more from a Western and esoteric perspective as it relates to the being we have come to know in the Western esoteric wisdom teachings as the Christ. I'm assuming that many here who are listening already know the distinction between the Christ and the Master Jesus. But I'd like to make say a few more words to make this distinction. That these are 2 different entities or beings. The church throughout the Piscean age did not make this distinction. With the esoteric understanding and interpretation, we know they are not one and the same. And of course, we could spend an entire period of time on this subject alone. But all that I want to emphasize at this point is the Christ was an initiate of a very high standing who worked through the disciple and initiate Jesus during the last 3 years of Jesus' life, as is documented in the New Testament. Therefore, all the major teachings that issued from the Christ and the miracles of healing and service were in fact done by the Christ and not by Jesus. Though it is important to note that Jesus was already an advanced initiate. In fact, he had to be able to withstand the very high vibrational potency of the Christ energy that had been pouring through him. And he is today nearly as advanced as the Christ was back then, 2,000 years ago. So, some may wonder, what does all this have to do with the sign Aries? And I will respond by saying it is important to know the facts about our esoteric history so that we can more easily move through the ageless wisdom teachings as presented and not be blocked by old beliefs or misbeliefs, antagonisms, and reactions introduced by uninformed dogma. This is in part what enlightenment means, to bring the light of truth into the heart mind, from which further progress can be made. By having a deeper understanding and accurate interpretation of the ancient lineage of the Christ and the Buddha, we can then stand upon a firmer foundation and move forward. So, as we know, every sign carries a specific energy or light and has a keyword that is associated with the soul for that sign. For Aries, that light is the light of life itself. And the keyword of the soul is I come forth, and from the plane of mind, I rule. So as we sit with this phrase for a moment, we might ask, who is the I that must come forth? Why the plane of mind? And why the word rule? What is it that must be ruled? So we're taught to remember that the true mind of Christ refers to a divine triplicity, the triune nature of the true soul, a nature comprised of higher mind, higher love, and higher will. It is this triplicity of light in a mind, of universal love, and the will of God that together combine into the one article of reference that must come forth as the I. I come forth, that inner divinity of the triune nature. And now, why the plane of mind? Humanity has arrived at a stage where it is developing the mind, mastering the mind, creating with the mind, bringing the heart or love aspect, the Christ nature, into the mind. We all know minds that are not loving, and that is one of the major steps in the path of discipleship and initiation, is to bring love into the mind so that we have a discriminating mind, a discerning mind, and a loving mind. And just for a few moments, I want to get a little bit technical when talking about the mental plane. So the mental plane has 7 subplanes. The same is true for the physical and astral. What is important here to know is that the soul is anchored on the second subplane, the love plane of the mental plane, counting from the top down. And it is the soul who is building a spiritual flower, if you will, comprised of 9 energies or petals on this second subplane of the mental plane. And this flower is esoterically called the egoic lotus. And there are 3 sets of petals or energies. And the first 3 are the knowledge petals that are in process of being built and mastered for us to become mentally enlightened. And there are 3 love petals, and inside of those, another 3 termed the sacrifice or will petals, all of them energies. And in the center of it all is a jewel that will unfold when all these outer petals are developed and opened through many lifetimes. This is the jewel, the one self, the God self, our inner divinity. It is the I that must come forth to rule. And now, what is it ruling? Simply said, all the lower subplanes of the personality. So all 7 subplanes of the physical, all 7 subplanes of the emotional, and the 4 lower subplanes on the mental plane. The four higher ones are the abstract planes of the mental plane, and those don't need to be ruled. So all these 18 lower subplanes need to be ruled by the soul, and there is no other way around it. This is a very important point and stage on the path of the soul, It is a long process of unfoldment and mastery. It is what builds mastery, and once accomplished, is master. We become master, the true white magician. So then, I come forth, and from the plane of mind, I rule. I rule my lower self to be aligned with the higher will, universal love, and the mind of God. All right, so moving on beyond this, let us look at the polar opposite a little bit of Aries, and that is Libra, the sign of balance and equilibrium, where we go back and forth to equilibrize a new level of equilibrium after experiencing the polarities that we meet every single day. So we pass from one sense of experience, polarity or opposition, then to a sense of unity, and then again to a sense of duality, and then next time onto a higher unity. And through this very, very long process, we learn the lesson of endurance. Along the way, we achieve balance. And one day, the day dawns when nothing but soul and the higher state of unity supervenes. So by identifying with a higher reality within ourselves, we create the conditions for the gradual emergence of the real soul, the real self, through the form. I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. So now I'd like to share two key thoughts about Aries from the esoteric astrology about the nature of the soul that is linked. So DK writes, the entire theme of the zodiac can be approached from the angle of light and the light unfolding, increasing its radiance, and of the gradual demonstration in what is called, quote, the glory of the one. This is a reference to the big one, the one about whom naught may be said, that being who comprises the entire solar system of 12 constellations. And by reflection, we, each and every one of us, are that glory when fully unfolded. We are a divine atom of this great unity. Master DK indicates that the modes of development of this inner light will come through certain phrases and sentences, which will indicate for each sign this growth of light in light. It is really the journey of the soul. And one such phrase is the one for Aries, I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. The master goes on to say, we are attempting to express those conditions that are connected with the soul, whose essential nature is light. This soul light affects the form as evolution proceeds and produces sequentially the revelation of that form and of the nature of space-time as well as of the goal. I never tire of this phrase. It goes on to say, a study of these thoughts will reveal the symbolic story of the irradiation of matter, of the growth of the light body within the macrocosm and the microcosm, and finally make clear the purpose of the Logos. And this quote is from Esoteric Astrology, pages 328 and 9. So here we find a clue to the greater purpose of the Logos. We understand a little bit more about the necessity for the irradiation of matter by light. And once again, coming back, that it is the I that comes forth in increasing measure through all the manifested world as this I, this light, grows and unfolds. So in other words, we are resurrecting the world to a higher order of living. So here now in Aries, we are given a deeper understanding as to why Aries is considered a major full moon sign and festival. It lies in the words resurrection and revelation, and the interrelatedness of these two terms. In the book, Rays and Initiations, in relationship to the Aries Easter Festival, we learn, during the coming century, the meaning of resurrection will be unfolded, and the new age will reveal its true significance. Resurrection is the keynote of nature. Death is not. The note and message sounded by the Christ when last on earth was resurrection. Christ brought in the new and will continue to do so. As humanity emerges from the death of old ideas and modes of living, relinquishing its materialistic goals and its, here's the word, damning selfishness, it will enter the clear light of the resurrection life. I bet you didn't know that a master swears, neither did I until I saw this. Resurrection is the clue to the world of meaning, he goes on to say, and is the fundamental theme of all the world religions, from the past, the present, and the future. It is the resurrection of the spirit in man, in all forms, in all kingdoms, and it is the objective of the entire evolutionary process. And it involves liberation from materialism and selfishness. So in simpler terms, I would say we are told that when the coming one, the Christ, Maitreya Buddha, known by many names, reappears, she or he will bring, define, distinguish, and demonstrate the spiritual life from the material life, through which the greater flowering will occur during the Aquarian age. It is through the energy and the power of resurrection that we resurrect our lives, the form life, and the entire physical plane to a higher vibrational order of living. And now, the other newer truth or idea so relevant to Aries also begins with the letter R, revelation. It is the revelation of the inner self, the God-man, the I in I come forth, that resurrection reveals. This is an ongoing process. One revelation of truth, of reality, of the soul, one after another, throughout all time, until divinity has revealed itself fully, and God-men, God-women walk the plains of earth. Revelation reveals the soul through all the forms of life. It is here now within. We just have to reveal it. And that is the great journey of the pilgrim, the great journey of the soul on the path, is the revealing of that which already is. And finally, I'd like to give you a quote from the book, Rays and Initiations. And this is to me, I just, again, never tire of it. There's two ideas here, and it just packs a power punch when you really consider it. So in Aries, first of all, Christ anchored the will of God in a matrix of love. I just love that phrase. The will of God in a matrix of love. The secret to that will lies in the recognition of the divine nature within. As we recognize and bring forth that inner divinity within the matrix of love, we fulfill the plan of God for humanity, for ourselves. And as humanity does this as a collective, it will become a divine center in the body of God. The secret of the will has everything to do with the recognition of the, quote, listen to this, unconquerable nature of goodness and the inevitable and ultimate triumph of the good, capital G, the good. So, lest we doubt the future as we look out upon the world and see the state of affairs, let us remember this profound, deeply hidden, potent reality thought. So, let me repeat it. The secret of the will has everything to do with the recognition of the unconquerable nature of goodness and the inevitable and ultimate triumph of the good. So God's will is much stronger than ours, much stronger than human will. We have choice, we have free will, and God is patient. So, friends, these are the key ideas behind the energy of Aries, giving us an understanding of the will of God, our own inner Christ nature, if you will, our Buddha nature, one and the same, evolving and unfolding through us. These divine ideas, of course, to be of any good, must be applied in our personal lives, in everyday living, where on earth we live, and in our groups and group life, and by extension in our nations, between nations, and in all departments of human living: governance, science, the arts, medicine, education, spirituality, all of it. Then the earth herself will be nourished, will flourish and flower. So we are learning and must learn to use our creative powers found within our own inner divinity for the greater good to flow forth and to manifest on earth. So then, let us create as the soul would create from the higher will of our true soul self. The I that must come forth through the divine matrix of love. I come forth, and from the planes of mind, I rule in the matrix of divine love. Well, that's a lot. Thank you, bless you. And with these final words, I turn it over to Diana to continue and to guide us in our full moon meditation.
Thank you, Helena. Wow, that was beautiful. I wrote this down from what you said, the incomparable nature of goodness and the inevitable triumph of the good. What a beautiful way to start this full moon meditation. And we have big energy moving around right now. And before we go into the meditation, world service meditation, I remind us all that that's what we're doing here is world service meditation by getting our own vehicle organized so that we can offer something that is in that pure state by the impulse energy that is coming through and be not in the way of that clear energy of that divine plan. And so that's part of what we're preparing for. And so that talk that Helena gave just now, she is preparing the field, right? To organize the substance of our mind stuff, to be receptive to spirit. And so a couple of things before we go in is I wanted to just share that tonight is a penumbral lunar eclipse visible here in America. And it will be red. It won't be eclipsed in the sense that the sun is, which is coming up soon, next new moon actually, but it'll darken and it'll turn red. So we're in an eclipse season. These are the only two eclipses of 2024. And I wanted to just say a couple of words about that because it's powerful that, especially since there are two, especially since they are in Aries, which is that initiating energy, we are getting ready to prepare for change, right? And so this is eclipse season. It'll be a 95% eclipse tonight. It'll be a 100% eclipse at the new moon, which is in 2 weeks from now. So at the new moon, we're going to have a full solar eclipse, which will be visible in the daytime sky, which is extra powerful. And whenever there's an eclipse, right, it's about the shadow and the light. And where is it crossing but the United States of America, particularly? And so I think it's interesting for us here that we are helping to organize the energies that are coming through into a field that has a lot of tension in it. And that's our job, right? Is to help align the energies that are coming through so they can land better, quieter, with less intensity, so that they can do their work and spread throughout our world, or the whole world. And so this first festival of Aries, which is that mental energy, it rules the head, right, is a very abstracted energy. So we have 3 festivals. And so the first one's Aries, and that is that abstract mental plan that is coming through. Then comes Taurus, which is more the concretization of that, the Wesak festival, right? It lands. And then in Gemini, it is offered, right? And so this is the first one, and it's very, very potent. So when we move into our meditation, the seed thought I'm offering is very simple because I wanted to just create a big space for this abstract energy to land into every kind of way that it will. Because remember, there are conscious souls all around the planet, in every country, in every village, in every government, right? In every place that there are conscious souls that are managing these energies, whether they're aware of it or not. So we as conscious meditators, we know that we are doing this, but there are many awakened souls that don't have this particular form that are doing that same work. And so we're holding for us all, we're holding for all of the world and humanity to allow these energies to move through our world in a way that is for the highest good. And it's simply said, that is the simplest way of saying it. And the one thing I want to just add into this in a personal way, with this particular full moon in Libra, actually, we're in solar Aries, Libra full moon, right? So there's those pairs of opposites that we're always balancing. We're talking about our sense of self and our sense of other, right? Aries, Libra. And so our relationships are impacted, how we communicate, how we are in ourself, our own sense of self, and our interactions with others can be more and more, I'm going to use the word impeccable, to be more and more conscious in all our communications, in all of our relations. So that as we are moving through this year, which is intense, 2024, we can help, we can be of service. And so the question I wanted to give you to consider in a personal way. So we'll also be doing that world service meditation, but I also want you to kind of put in there gently is what is needing to be released in your own field in order that the new thing can come in. And another way to say it is between this full moon and in 2 weeks, the new moon total 100% solar eclipse, we have 2 weeks in preparation for what is ready to be released, what is preparing for this force for change that is happening in our world. So these are just some thoughts to just sort of bring through like a note. And then in a moment, we're going to go into the meditation where we'll have 10 minutes of silence where you can allow yourself to be impressed personally by that light. So when you're ready to, get yourself organized in your space. And take a breath together, what was called a super mundane breath. With all conscious souls in this meditation, we take a breath together, inhaling. And exhale, and feel yourself balance the field of the physical body, the field of the emotional body, the field of the mental body. Om. You come into stillness. And in that place, you take your seat in the heart of the head, in the cave center, connected to the heart center, linked heart to head, with an awakened cave center. And in that place, you may sense light or the vibration of light or the quality of light in the head center, the awakened self. The moment that the head center awakens, the crown chakra also opens. And there is immediately a link from the heart chakra to the head center, the heart of the heart of the head, to the heart of the soul. Sense this now. This awakened self, I and the soul are one. Om. I and the soul are one. And we begin to prepare the field now to be impressed by that higher light of all that is conducted like a symphony of light by the masters and teachers that moves all the way through those masters and teachers, through Shambhala, through the heart of the sun, all the way to the heart of Sirius. We link as conscious souls, letting this pure light of this first Aries light, that abstract light, to move into our consciousness and into the silence. So in these next minutes, will use this seed thought to harmonize our energies as a one in this world service meditation. And it is this: I am one with the divine plan. I am one with the divine plan. I am one with the divine plan, where the will of God is known. Om. And just gently, gradually allowing these impressions to take form and ideate into thought, creation, and form in these days and weeks to follow, impulsed by that pure Aries light, heart light, heart fire that produces clear thinking and right action in goodwill. And you use your breath to ground yourself into this time and space, organizing yourself into this new light and awareness. Gently aware of our earth and all beings, all beings. And as we use the great invocation in a moment, giving it as a blessing, all blessings to all beings, with this design of the divine plan permeating it. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into all human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into all human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Om. Thank you, everyone. The full moon is exact and visible, at least in America, tonight, and the West Coast, 12:01 is exact, midnight. And the next full moon is Monday, April 22nd. Here, and we will be doing another full moon meditation. And also to meditate on the new moon coming up April 8th, which will be a total solar eclipse. Very powerful times we are in. Thank you so much from Helena and I, and blessings from Meditation Mount.